Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to see the reverse tunneling used in the mobile IP. Now in the previous videos we have seen what is tunneling. Now tunnel starts at the home agent and ends at the foreign agent. That is, tunnel is created by the home agent and it is ended at the foreign agent. Now this tunneling is achieved by encapsulation. Now we will see what is exactly reverse tunneling and why is it required. Now, when a mobile node moves from home network to foreign network, usually tunnels are required. So, when packets are to be delivered to the mobile node, these tunnels are used for delivering the packets to the mobile node in a foreign network. Now, when packets are to be returned from mobile node to the correspondent node, how it will be performed? As we have seen in the IP packet delivery, when packets are returned from mobile node to correspondent node, they don't have to go through the same route as it has traveled while delivering the packets to the mobile node. That means if we consider pictorially, this is foreign agent, this is correspondent node, this is home network, and this is foreign network. So mobile node is in foreign network. So when mobile node wants to send a packet to correspondent node, it directly can send the packet via internet to the correspondent node. Now at first glance, this return path from mobile node to correspondent node seems quite simple. Okay, since why it is not going through home agent? Because when mobile node has to send a packet to correspondent node, destination address is stationary one. So you don't need a tunnel or mobile IP in that case. So that's why we can follow the simple path. But at first it seems quite simple, but it is not actually. The mobile node can directly send packets to CN as in any other standard IP situation because CN is stationary, so it doesn't require any mobile IP mechanism. As I said, the destination address in this case will be destination address in this case will be that of the CN for all the packets that are sent to the CN. But there are several issues with this simple solution. Some of these issues we have previously discussed during IP packet delivery. Now we will revise them and see why reverse tunneling is needed to overcome these issues. So the first issue when packets are to be sent from mobile node towards the correspondent node is the presence of firewall. Now most companies which are implementing intranet will deploy a firewall at the foreign agent because most of the information or all of the information exchanged by the company within the network or outside the network has to be kept confidential. So in order to avoid any intruder or hijacker to hijack the information, firewalls are implemented at the foreign agent. So these firewalls are used for filtering out the malicious addresses from administrator point of view. So if we talk about general scenario, this is my foreign network. Here I have a foreign agent. Here I will have a firewall. Okay, so whatever packets coming to this network will go through the firewall and coming out of this network will also go through the firewall. Okay, so how to avoid intruders from hijacking your information? As it is going through the firewall will filter out any addresses which are not part of the company site network. Now any home addresses, that is important because when packets are originated from mobile node, their source address will be address of mobile node. Okay, so even if they are stationary nodes like correspondent node in the foreign network, those packets will be filtered out or monitored through the firewall while they are delivered outside the network. Quite often, firewalls only allow packets with topologically correct address. That means, what is topologically correct address? Whenever you are part of a network, let's say this is foreign network, that means you have certain subnet address, let's say 130.40.0.0. All the nodes which are present inside this network will have an address starting with 130.40 dot and so on. Okay, so if mobile node is a part of this network, it will have a IP address which belong to the home network. So it may be anything 192 or 196.32 dot anything. Okay, now 196.32 is not part of this subnet. So what firewall will do, it will recognize that the source address of this particular packet does not belong to any of the node belonging in the network, and it will filter out that particular packet. Okay, now this happens because mobile node is using its own IP address as a source address while sending out the packets. Okay, now why firewall is doing this or implementing these rules? Because it does not consider presence of the mobile node inside the network. It considers that whatever nodes which are present in the network all belong to same subnet, that is 130.40.0.0. So if any address which is not belonging to this subnet is trying to send a packet, it must be an intruder, and that's why it filters out the packets sent by the address which is not belonging to this subnet. Okay, this provides at least simple protection against misconfigured systems of unknown addresses. As I said, this is for simply filtering out intruders based on the source address. As firewall is not considering mobile nodes part of a foreign network, this problem is always observed in the foreign site networks. However, MN still sends packet with its fixed address as a source, which is not topologically correct in a foreign network. Okay, that's why it is said as it is not a topologically correct, because this address does not belong to this subnet. As you can see, it is starting with 196 and this subnet is starting with 130. Okay, so that's why firewall may cause an issue when a mobile node moves into a foreign network. Mobile node may not be able to send out any messages to correspondent node which is outside the foreign network. Okay, this is the first issue. Then second issue is a multicast. Now nodes in the home network might participate in a multicast group. Now, what is a multicast group? That means in a network there will be certain nodes which form a group. So whatever packets which are sent to this group will be delivered to all nodes in the group. So there is a group ID associated with each multicast group, and this group ID is used as destination address when delivering packets to any of the nodes within that group. So if you have to send any packet to one particular node of a multicast group, you have to use group ID as a destination address. That packet will be delivered to all nodes in the multicast group. Okay, or when you have to send any packet from this multicast group towards the destination, then again source address will be used as a group ID. Okay, or group ID will be used as a source address. Now when a node is a part of such multicast group, a MN in foreign network cannot be part of such multicast group. Now if there is a group which is formed in the home network, let's say this is the group, this is home network, and this node moves out to the foreign network. Now it cannot remain a part of multicast group because these three are part of a different subnet, and this becomes now part of a different subnet. Okay, so MN cannot send a packet or multicast packet same way they used to send it through the home network. In home network that is not an issue, but when it moves to the foreign network, they do not remain part of a multicast group because of having a topologically incorrect address. Because once they move into the foreign network, they have to acquire COA. So packets delivered to this group will be delivered to these three nodes, but not this node because it is part of a different subnet. COA will not be part of a same subnet used by the home network. And that's why packets cannot be transmitted to mobile node. Or in the reverse direction also same thing applies. Because why this happens? Because foreign network might not even provide the technical infrastructure required for communication. Now technical infrastructure means multicast backbone network which is required to support multicasting within the network. In order to deploy or in order to implement multicasting in a network, you will require specific hardware which will be able to deliver packets to all nodes within that same multicast group. So that multicast backbone or M-bone, which is the infrastructure responsible for creating the multicast groups, keeping the track of all multicast groups, keeping the track of all the nodes within each group, and then delivering the packets to each group. So that M-bone or multicast backbone may not be part of foreign network, or they may not be supported by foreign network. So if it is not supported by foreign network, then mobile node moving out of the home network will not work, and mobile IP will not also work. Okay, so that is the second issue. So first issue is firewall and the second issue is multicasting. Then the third issue is a TTL. We all know what is the full form of TTL, time to live. It is a field used in the IP packet to indicate within how many hops the packet should be delivered to the destination. So if MN wants to send a packet with a certain TTL, let's say TTL is equal to 5. Now that means within 5 hops the packet should be delivered to the destination. Now it will work when mobile node is in home network because path is clear, already calculated by the home router or home agent. But if this TTL is low, so that the packet will not be transmitted outside that particular region, that means if packet is, let's say, having a TTL of 5, that means it can cover a distance up to, let's say, 10 kilometer, because there are routers which can carry this packet with this TTL up to only 10 kilometers. Now if mobile node moves to the foreign network, obviously this hop count is going to increase. The distance between mobile node, which is now in a foreign network, and a destination is now larger. So if TTL is not modified, then packet will not reach the destination. That's what it is said now. If the mobile node now moves into the foreign network, TTL might be too low for packets to reach the same node as before. So same destination cannot be reached with the same TTL if mobile node moves to the foreign network. So if you have to modify this TTL, let's say now it has moved to the foreign network. Now since it has moved, now it is sending the packet with the TTL equal to 5. Now why mobile node will still send the packet with TTL equal to 5? Because mobile node feels that it is still part of the home network, because all the packets are still delivered to the mobile node. So it will keep the TTL to 5. Now what happens after sending the packet is a responsibility of foreign agent and home agent, that is forming a tunnel and making sure packets are delivered. Okay, now if we have to make this packet reach the destination, we have to increase the TTL, let's say by 3. So modifying the TTL field during transition or during the transit is not keeping the semantics of the IP. If someone is trying to modify your TTL field, that means it is an intruder who is trying to deliver a packet somewhere where source of the packet is not aiming to deliver the packet. Okay, I am repeating again. If TTL was originally 5, mobile node must have thought that within 5 hops packet should be delivered. Now if this TTL field is modified, that means someone is trying to deliver the same packet to somewhere else, which is beyond the destination, because plus 3 means the packet should reach further distance beyond the initially specified by mobile node, and that is not keeping the semantics of the IP. So mobile IP is no longer transparent if a user has to adjust the TTL while in transit or while in moving. So these are the three main issues which are observed in the mobile IP and tunneling. So how to overcome these issues? The simple solution is using a reverse tunneling. Now all these issues led to defining reverse tunneling as an extension to mobile IP. What is exactly reverse tunneling? We have already seen what is tunneling. Tunnel starts here and ends at foreign agent. Now what will happen in reverse tunneling? Tunneling will again happen, but now starting will be at foreign agent and ending will be at the home agent. So mobile node, when it has to send the packet, tunnel will be created by foreign agent and it will be terminated at the home agent. So same tunnel we are going to create, but in the reverse direction. That's why the name is reverse tunneling. So without reverse tunneling, packet used to be delivered directly via internet. Now that will not happen because of issues we have just discussed. Now what will happen? Mobile node will initiate a packet, so it will be delivered to the foreign agent, as you can see in the first step. Now once foreign agent receives, now remember firewall is here outside the foreign agent, not inside, outside, because firewall is a protector from the outside world. So when packet reaches the foreign agent, it understands that the source of this packet is temporarily inside the current network. So it will generate a tunnel taking care of address as a source address and destination address as correspondent node address. Now it will create a tunnel. Now tunnel will start here and it will create a tunnel between foreign agent to home agent, because COA to IP address matching is already present at the foreign agent. It will create a tunnel between foreign agent and home agent. That's you can see in the second step. Okay, now packets are given back to the home agent. Now after home agent receives these packets, it will understand that this packet has to be delivered to correspondent node, whose path is already known because already we have received packets from the correspondent node, and it will forward the packet to the correspondent node. Okay, so by this we are creating a reverse tunnel between foreign agent and home agent. Now this is slight modification to the normal simple solution for delivering packets to mobile from mobile node to correspondent node. Now how this mechanism of reverse tunneling will solve the problems or issues we have discussed, like firewall, multicast or TTL. Now let's see that. So all in all, in order to summarize reverse tunneling, it is same as tunneling, but the direction is not from home agent to foreign agent. For reverse tunneling, direction is from foreign agent to home agent. Okay, so same tunneling is the same concept, the direction is different. So how it is solving the problems of the firewall, TTL and multicasting? Now router, as we know, accepts only topologically correct addresses. Now because of reverse tunneling, are we getting topologically correct address? Obviously yes, because a packet from the mobile node is now encapsulated by the foreign agent. Now once it is encapsulated, source address becomes not the IP address of mobile node, but it becomes COA. Okay, so firewall will not block this COA, because COA is a part of a new subnet that belongs to the foreign network. COA belongs to the foreign network, so firewall will not block the COA. Destination address was never an issue for firewall, so this problem is solved as of now. Okay. Furthermore, multicasting and TTL problems, these are also solved. Now how these are solved? Because of reverse tunneling, now COA will be used as a source address, so multicast packets can also be sent by MN, because once home agent decapsulates the packets received at the home agent, then it understands that this packet is initiated by a node which is correctly part of a multicast group, and it will be able to deliver packets to the destination. Now how reverse tunneling is helping? Now in this case, foreign network does not need a multicast backbone, because multicasting is still supported by home network, and it has to just decapsulate the packet sent by the foreign network or foreign agent. The third issue was TTL. Now in the case of TTL, if you recall, in the case of tunneling, when tunnels are created, no matter how many routers are in between this tunnel, entire tunnel is considered as one hop. So where packets are being initiated by mobile node, this is considered as one hop and included in the TTL field. So even if it is far away from the home network, it will still be one hop away from the home agent. Here we have a home agent, one hop, here foreign agent, which is viewed as a mobile node location from the home agent point of view. So home agent understands that this packet has come only within the distance of one hop from the mobile node. So it is a correct one, correct TTL. So you don't have to change any TTL, and packets can be still delivered to the destination. So this is how it can solve, reverse tunneling can solve the problems of or issues of firewall, TTL and multicasting in mobile IP. So this reverse tunneling standard is also specified in mobile IP. Now this standard is backward compatible. That means this extension can be implemented easily. You don't have to change anything which is already in existence, and it can cooperate with the current implementation without these extensions also. So it's just an additional part which you have to attach if you need reverse tunneling or not. That you have to just specify. The standard is not complete overall of the existing standard. So we have seen during the agent advertisement message format, we have seen there was one flag which indicated R, which requests the node regarding whether they want reverse tunneling or not. So if R is mentioned as 1, that means reverse tunneling is expected by the agent. So by simply mentioning this R, you can request mobile node for supporting the reverse tunneling also. Okay, so that is how it is very much easy. Although it looks simple to solve these problems in the reverse tunneling, there are still some issues. For example, in case of firewall, we have just seen that reverse tunneling may solve the issue of firewall, or it solves, but there is some still issues, like reverse tunnel can be abused to circumvent security mechanisms. Okay, since packets are now emanating from foreign agent, so there is a concept called as tunnel hijacking, which is several times observed in the information security or cyber security, where intruder hijacks the tunnel. That means listens to the packets from the tunnel and receive information regarding source of the packet. Now if it is done, then whatever information which is confidential inside this network, that will be revealed to the intruder, and that is not intended by the firewall present at the foreign agent. So if this tunnel is hijacked, then intruder might know information about the company site. Okay, that is one issue. Then reverse tunneling also creates a triangular routing problem. Okay, so the data paths may create a triangular routing problem. What is triangular routing problem? For example, let's say this is a CN, this is home network, and this is foreign network. Now in foreign network, mobile node has moved from this home network to foreign network, and it has to send a packet to a correspondent node which is already in the foreign network. Okay, now what is triangular routing problem? Or in this case we have said it is a double triangular. First we will see what is triangular routing, then what is double triangular routing. So let's talk about triangular routing. Now correspondent node, when it sends the packet, it travels this direction through the internet. Okay, now if mobile node moves to this network instead of this foreign network, mobile node and correspondent node are in the same network. So in that case, let me clear this. This is a correspondent node and this is home network. Mobile node has moved from home network to this network. This is internet. Now what is triangular routing? When CN sends a packet, it travels through the internet, reaches home agent. Home agent understands that this mobile node has moved to the foreign network, which turns out to be the same network as that of CN. So it resends the packet back to the same network. So even if correspondent node and mobile node are part of a same network, still the packet has traveled entire distance of internet towards the home agent and back to the same network. So this creates a triangle. This is mobile node, this is correspondent node, this is home agent. So that is called as triangular triangular routing problem. Now what is double triangular routing problem? Now when you visit a foreign network of a company site, let's say this is a foreign network, you are a mobile node, correspondent node is a part of a foreign network here. Now already there is a tunnel from home agent to foreign agent. Okay, so same triangular routing is created in this direction and then same will be created in the reverse direction. So that is double triangular routing. So while sending the packet from CN to MN, triangular routing problem occurs, and while sending the packet from mobile node to CN, double triangular routing problem occurs again. So that is double triangular routing. So reverse tunneling does not solve this problem. The simple example of this triangular routing can be a person in India is calling to a person who is a resident of US, but it has currently moved to the India. So if person in India is calling to the person in India, it should be a direct call. But because of this person which is currently now in India is a citizen of US or he has a SIM card of a United States, the call will go through US back to India and through US again back to India. So this is nothing but triangular routing. The call should not have gone to US because caller and callee both are in India. So that is the simple example of triangular routing. So the reverse tunneling does not solve this problem, but still it provides the many other problems. So it should be implemented while implementing mobile IP. Okay, that's all for today, and that's all for regarding mobile IP. In the next video we will start with the transport layer and we will see whether standard TCP is useful in the mobile networks or not. Thank you.